Hello everyone, so for today's tutorial you'll need some pair of scissors, some bamboo sticks. This is optional but I'll be using pipe cleaners, and you'll also need a hot glue gun. You can use bamboo sticks and wrap them around with yarn, or you can also use floral wire or any wire that is thick enough to support the flowers. I'll be using these pipe cleaners for my white lavenders. I do not recommend using pipe cleaners for flowers in general because they will bend over. You will also need some yarn. I'm using white for the white lavender, red for the roses, and green for the stems and leaves under the roses. And for all three of these yarns, I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. These two yarns are both double knit yarns, however this one is not a double knit yarn. It is a bit thicker. I am using this for the roses because I like how they look. I wouldn't say this is chunky yarn, I'd say this is like a size thicker than double knit yarn, and I'll just show you the difference. So this is how thick this yarn is, and this is how thick the double knit yarn is. So it's just a little disclaimer for you guys. I've put timestamps throughout this video, so please go ahead and skip to any section of the video you need while making this flower bouquet. So to start off, I'll be showing you how to make the rose, and I'll be using red yarn. You can use any color you want. It genuinely just depends on who you're giving to. If you're giving this bouquet to your partner, your best friend, or even yourself, you can use their favorite color or your favorite color. If I was making this for myself, I would use pink, which is my favorite color, but I'm using red because when I think of roses, I think of red. Okay, so to start off, you want to go ahead and make a slip knot. Once you've made your slip knot for the roses, you want to go ahead and chain 51. I know 51 seems like a lot of chains, but trust me, we'll get through these very fast. 3 roses are only 2 rows wide. So now I've made 51 chains, and this is what it should look like. You now want to go ahead and make a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So this is the 1st chain, this is the 2nd chain, this is the 3rd chain, and this is the 4th chain. So we'll go into that 4th chain. I'm going to yarn over, go into that 4th chain, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops on my hook, and yarn over and pull through those second 2 loops on your hook. So this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So far we've made 2 double crochets in the same stitch. I'm going to yarn over, go back into that same chain and make another double crochet. So in total, in this first chain, we have 3 double crochets. We're going to yarn over, skip this next chain, go into the chain after, and make 3 double crochets into that same chain. So 1, 2, and 3. And then again, skip that next chain, go into the one after, and make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And just like that, you want to go ahead and carry on making your clusters of 3 double crochets across this whole row. So you skip the next stitch, go into the one after, and make 3 double crochets into the same stitch or the same chain. And you should have 24 of these 3 double crochet clusters. And you want to go ahead and complete them, and I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, so I'm just going to go into my last stitch here and make my last cluster of 3 double crochets. So I'm going in, making my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd double crochet. And that's your round 1 finished. So for round 2, you want to go ahead and chain 2, so 1 and 2, and we'll turn. So round 2 consists of the pattern of making a chain 2, 2 double crochets in the same stitch, half double crochet and slip stitch, and you carry that on through the whole row. So I'll show you. So above in this first cluster, above that first double crochet, we have made a chain 2. In that second double crochet, we're going to make 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So 1, go back into that same stitch and make your second double crochet. And in that 3rd double crochet in that stitch, we're going to go ahead and make our half double crochet, just like so. So to make a half double crochet, you yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook, just like so. And now you can see this is our next 3 double crochet cluster. So on top of that first double crochet, we're going to make a slip stitch and chain 2, 1 and 2. In that second double crochet, we're going to make 2 double crochets. So 1, go back into that same stitch and make your second double crochet. And in that 3rd double crochet of the cluster, you're going to go ahead and make your half double crochet. So the pattern is slip stitch, chain 2 in the first stitch, the second stitch, make 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and in that third stitch you want to go ahead and make your half double crochet. So you want to go ahead and repeat the pattern all the way across until the end of this row. You should have 24 of these shapes because we have 24 clusters and we're crocheting over those. You can pause the video now and I'll see you at the end of the row. So right now I'm just making my last half double crochet of the row. And what you want to go ahead and do now is you want to go back into that same stitch and make a slip stitch. So to make a slip stitch, you go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and just pull through the loop on your hook, just like so. You want to go ahead, get your pair of scissors, and just leave like a couple of inches off, just like that, and cut. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into that same stitch and make another slip stitch, pull through the stitch and pull through the loop on my hook all the way, just like so, and then just pull on that tail end to keep it tight. And this is your rows complete. Now that we've completed our rows, we're going to go ahead and get started on the leaf. Crocheting the bottom leaf for the rows is actually very simple and is very similar to the pattern of a star. So to start off, we're going to make a magic circle. If you are unable to make a magic circle, you can always chain 4 and slip stitch into the first chain to imitate a magic circle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and chain 3, so 1, 2 and 3. This chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch for this first row. We're now going to go ahead and make 12 double crochets. So into that magic circle, make 12 double crochets. I'm making 2, 3, 4, 5. Just carry on making double crochets like so, and I'll see you at the end of the row. So I've just done my last double crochet, and do not pull on the tail end to make this hole smaller. We need the hole big enough to go through the bamboo stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the first double crochet we made of the row. So I'm not going to slip stitch into the chain 3, I'm going to slip stitch into the double crochet. And this is the part where I mean it's similar to a star. So what we're going to do for this round, we're going to do this 6 times. So we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I'm going to skip that first chain and make a single crochet in the second chain. I'm going to make another single crochet in the third chain. I'm going to make 1 half double crochet in that 4th chain. I'm going to make 1 double crochet in the 5th chain, and I'm going to make another double crochet in the last 6th chain. I'm going to skip this next stitch and slip stitch into the one after. Go ahead and chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip that first chain, make a single crochet in the second chain, make a half double crochet in the third chain, and then again make 1 double crochet in those last 2 chains. So in the 4th chain I'm making a double crochet, and in the 5th chain we're making a double crochet. Please don't get confused before when I said 6 chain, I can't count. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip this next stitch, go into the one after and make a slip stitch, and then repeat by chaining 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip that first chain, make 2 single crochets, 1 half double crochet in the middle, and then go ahead and make 2 double crochets in those last 2 chains. And you want to go ahead and just carry on doing that, repeating the same pattern over 3 more times. So we're going to skip this next stitch and slip stitch into the one after, just like so. So we've done 3 so far, and you want to do 3 more, and I'll see you at the end of the row. So I finished my 6th point, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip stitch into where that first one starts, so just right here. And just like how we ended with the rows, I'm going to cut this end off here, yarn over and just pull through to make a nice little knot and pull it to make it tight. So that is our leaf. This is our leaf done. So this is like the part under the rose. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I put this rose together, and with the leaf and the stem. So to start off, I'm going to just wrap my yarn all around this bamboo stick, and I don't like this pointy bit here, so I'm going to cut it off just where it starts, just because I feel like it could do. I've done this for all of like my bamboo sticks before. I kind of just cut it and snap it off. And then at this point you want to go ahead and just get a little nail file and or sandpaper and just kind of sand this part down, just so you don't get any splinters or anything. But at this point you want to make sure that your glue gun is all warmed up. I haven't plugged mine in yet, so I'm going to do that now. If your glue gun is warming up, you can just go ahead and start wrapping your yarn around your bamboo stick, or whatever stick you're using, or barbecue stick, whatever. You can just go about this like any way. What I like to do is just put like a long piece of yarn down the ends like this, and then start wrapping around from the top like this, going over that yarn that I've just kind of put down. The top of this doesn't need to be like completely covered, because the rose will go on top of this, and yeah, it is a bit time consuming, but you just want to make sure you're kind of covering the stick, and you want to just keep on going around like this and kind of just make sure it's all nice and even. And once you've gone to the bottom, you can go ahead and glue gun it down or glue it down, and I'll show you how I do that. So this is my stick almost completely covered. I'm going to do the last end part. Please be careful at this step. Hot glue guns are hot, very hot. I can't really show this to you on camera because my glue gun wire isn't long enough, but I'm just gluing down the tip of the stick just like that, and I'm going to just wrap my yarn around the glue. And then I'm going to wrap the yarn kind of over itself. If you want, you can go ahead and color this end bit of the stick with a green marker if you're unable to get the glue to the end. But I'm just going to quickly glue that last bit of yarn down just like so. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut that. So this is what it should look like so far. I would recommend doing your stems all in one go, just wrapping them and keeping them pre-prepared, just so it's, you know, easier. But you can also do it as you go along like I am. So now it's time to do the roses. So I'm going to show you, you can always tie your ends off now, or you can do them at the end. So I'm going to show you how I wrap them around first without gluing it down. So you kind of just want to position your stick just so like you can hide the exposed part, but you can also make sure it doesn't go over the petal like so. And then you kind of just want to wrap the rose around itself like this to kind of get this shape. Make sure you're pinching at the bottom, make sure you're not twisting your work. At this point I'm not gluing it down because I'm just kind of showing you how I'm doing it first. And then when I get to the bottom, I'm going to tie the ends together. You can always just tie off the ends now. Glue it down here. I kind of want to make sure, I'm going to add some more glue. You want to make sure that you that was hot. Yeah, so make sure you don't burn yourself, and make sure you glue as you go along. So make sure like the yarn is stuck to itself. I think this part is just pretty self-explanatory, so just add a little bit of glue, fold it over, add some more glue, fold it over. You can add glue in different places. If you don't only want to put it on this side, you can put it on this side as well. I would recommend just being generous with the amount of glue you use, but don't be over generous. So don't do too much where you burn yourself, just do little bits at a time. Too much glue can kind of seep through the yarn. And be careful, because if your fingers are on the other side of the yarn, you can burn yourself. Like just like that. I just burnt myself. Okay, whatever. Anyway, yeah, so just carry on. Make sure you be careful. You can use some kind of rubber gloves if you want, if you can't trust yourself. And you kind of just want to keep wrapping it around, and I'll see you when I finished. So I've just fully like stuck it down, and now you kind of can just go ahead and, you know, mess around with your rose, make it fit the shape you want to make it, cover the top of the stick, kind of pull out the leaves a little bit. Make sure your glue's fully dried though. You don't want to do this while it's drying, otherwise, you know, you might end up just pulling all apart. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to just glue this little bit down a bit more. When we finish, we can go ahead and just take out like the dried glue bits, but for now just let it completely dry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my two ends and kind of just wrap it around and tie them together. You can do this beforehand, but I like it when it's wrapped around the stick because it kind of gives me some security that like the rose is attached to the stick. I'm just going to do like a triple knot, and then you want to cut very closely to the knot. Don't cut the knot though, and don't cut your yarn. There we go. And I'm just going to glue that knot down onto the rose itself. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this on to the stem. Again, I'm just keeping the ends in so I can kind of see what's going on first. So you can either do it where you only glue down the middle part, so the first row to the rose, and you kind of have the leaves bend down, or you can glue everything to the rose. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the middle section of the bottom of the rose. Kind of just put some glue here, and I'm going to just wrap this end around the stick and kind of push it onto that glue, so just to make it stick down. And now what you want to do is once that middle bit stuck, you kind of just want to glue down each leaf bit part by part, or leaf by leaf. I'm just going to do one long line down the leaf and then just stick it upwards. For this end, you can kind of just glue it alongside the leaf, so put it inside the opening of the leaf before you glue it down. Then put your glue down that leaf and glue it towards the rose, like so. And that hides that end. And this is what it looks like. This is what your rose should look like when it's complete. And now I'll be showing you how to make the lavender sticks. You can use any color yarn for your lavender sticks. You can use purple, yellow, white, whatever. I just realized today, well not today, but 3 days ago, that white lavender exists. So I'm making this as white lavender. So to start off, you want to make a slip knot, and you want to go ahead and make 57 chains. For these roses and lavenders, you need to chain a lot, but trust me, you get through those stitches very fast, very quickly. It's super easy to make. When you chain, please chain loosely. Don't chain too tight, especially for these lavender sticks, or you'll find it very hard to crochet back into these chains. So go ahead and chain 57, and I'll see you at the end of the chain. Okay, so I've made 57 chains. You want to go ahead and make a slip stitch into the 8th chain from your hook, just like so. You want to go ahead and slip stitch into your next chain and chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make a slip stitch into the same stitch, go into the next chain, make a slip stitch, chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Make a slip stitch into the same stitch, go into the next chain, make a slip stitch, chain 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slip stitch into the same stitch, go into the next chain, make a slip stitch, and you can kind of imagine how the rest of this row goes. You repeat, you chain 7, make a slip stitch into the same stitch, go into the next chain and make a slip stitch and chain 7. And you get these little petals that look just like this, and I'll see you at the end of the row. So now I'm going to go ahead and make my last little petal. So I'm going to start by chaining 7, 4, 5, 6 and 7, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that last chain, just like so. And then I'm going to just leave a little bit of yarn left and cut, slip stitch back into the same chain, and then just pull the yarn through the loop to make a knot, and just pull that quite tightly. So this is what your lavender should look like so far. And now we're going to go ahead and assemble it. So I'm using a pipe cleaner for the lavender. So for this bouquet, I'm making 3. So these are the other 2 that I've made, and this is the 3rd one that I'll be making on camera. So as always, before I wrap my stuff around to make flowers, I wrap it without the glue just to see how it looks. So what you want to do is you kind of want to get the top 2 chain 7s that you made, align the stem with the first one, and then just put the second one kind of against it to kind of cover that stem. And then you want to just keep wrapping that white petals around each other, fairly close but not too close. So if you don't like seeing the green, you can always put less gaps between where you've wrapped like each part of the chain 7s. but your lavender sticks the lavender parts of your lavender sticks might be a little bit too like short. And just like the rose, you can always glue down as you go along. So as you're twisting over the stem, you can just glue it down, twist, glue it down and twist. I recommend that you glue onto the stem, twist it, glue, twist, just like how I did for the rose. So I'm getting close to the bottom. Make sure like while you're twisting it, your chain 7s are all facing upwards, because they can twist over. If they don't face upwards, it won't look like, it won't give that petal shape. So make sure they all face upwards as you're twisting it around the stem, if that makes sense. Once you've kind of gotten everything into position, you can go ahead and just tie your ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate these two tail ends that we had at the bottom, and I'm going to tie them together quite closely to the lavender part of the flower, so it's not too noticeable. White is very noticeable on green, so I'm just kind of pushing it upwards, kind of hide the knot. And I'm going to make a double or a triple knot. Again, before you do this part, make sure you're gluing down your petals as you like twist it alongside the stem. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm only doing it for this flower because I'm in a bit of a rush and I just wanted to show you guys. So cut off your end close to the knot, but don't cut the knot. I'm going to go ahead, glue it down. Now I'm just going to kind of fix the petals and then glue down the top as well. That's your lavender stick done. And I made 3 of these for my bouquet, as you may already know. So this is what they look like. So right now I'm just kind of positioning the flowers together. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to tie these stems together and I will wrap them with parchment paper and newspaper to make a beautiful bouquet. This is what the bouquet looks like, and what I've done, I tied the bouquet together with twine. So I did one high up, I did these quite tightly so it maintains its shape and none of the flowers fall out through any gaps, and tied a bow because this is the part that would be visible. It would be nice if you could use some like cute ribbon or something for that part, but I don't have any. I should have prepared for this a little bit more. And then the one for the lower part, I just kind of did like a triple knot, kind of hope it blends in with the stem, but it won't be that noticeable because what we'll be using next is we'll be using some parchment paper or baking paper and some newspaper. So I'm no florist, you know, I don't have any ideas about flower arrangement, but I thought this looked pretty cute, so I went with it. And I should have prepared for this a little bit more. I should have bought some nice tissue paper. So I got some baking paper, and as you can tell, I had a little practice. And I also got some newspaper. It's a Bangladeshi newspaper because for some reason we don't have the British newspaper delivered to us. I think the last time we had the newspaper delivered to us was like 7 years ago. So I have this, and it is massive. So I folded it in half. For the baking paper, I've kind of cut out like a rectangle. So what you're going to do is you're just going to lay down your bouquet and just make sure that the baking paper covers the back of the flowers, if not a little bit more. Make sure the bow part is facing upwards because that's the part you want to be seen. Oh yeah, it's very important that you do 2 knots, one upper stem and one lower stem, because if you do one upper stem, the sticks will kind of go out like this and they will kind of slip between each other. So doing 2 separate knots really helps to hold the bouquet together. So I'm going to just kind of scrunch it together. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm kind of just going to scrunch the paper. I think it's better if you kind of just pleat it instead of scrunch it, but you can always scrunch it just like for the bottom like quarter of the baking paper. And then I'm kind of just going to do this and then pull this out so it doesn't cover the flowers like this, but then scrunch it together like that. This is what I'm going to do. So this is what it looks like. And I'm going to layer the newspaper underneath because I think, you know, when you go to local flower shops and then you see these beautiful bouquets and they're layered with different colors of tissue paper, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, but I'm doing it with some parchment paper and a newspaper in Bangla. So what I'm going to do for the newspaper is I'm going to turn it upside down actually because I like the writing. Because this newspaper is really big, I'm going to fold it so it kind of covers the bottom of the stems, and then again I'm kind of just going to like pleat it together and straighten out the edges, or scrunch it together, and then just hold it like this. I'm in 0.8, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing better. And then I'm kind of just folding out these areas like this. Okay, as you can tell, you can't really see that bow as much anymore. So what I recommend you do is get some fancy ribbon or some really nice looking ribbon, or you can even crochet one. But I'm going to use some twine to kind of just make a nice bow here. But yeah, this is what it should look like. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I think this is gorgeous. It's handmade. And what's even more beautiful is you can wrap a little tag around it. Put a little tag around it and say to blah, 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 blah from whatever. And oh my god, sorry, you can't see it. But look at that. It's so pretty. I promise you, this is like one of the fastest ways you can make beautiful roses into a beautiful bouquet because the patterns are just so simple. I started this flower bouquet at like 9 p.m. I started them very late and it's only 12:30. So this is what it looks like and it seems like something you would buy in the flower shop. I'm so happy. Sorry, this is my first time making a bouquet like this. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope this tutorial helped. You know, whoever you give it to, credit me, be like, yeah, I saw Marin TC's tutorial. No, I'm joking, don't do that. Have a lovely day. Please like, subscribe and comment down below on what tutorials you'd like to see next. Thank you for watching and I hope to make better bouquets in the future. Bye!